Glasses and laptop. Well, guys, strap in.
I have to.
And a turtleneck. Whoa.
Who called the librarian?
Yeah. Guys, you can go now and come back in 10.
Shh, quiet in the back. We're back. How you doing?
I'm okay. You know, I've had this thing where I'm seeing marketing materials for the Last of Us TV show.
Yes.
And I need to now remind myself to remain calm.
Okay.
Because I'm like really overexcited for this TV show. But I'm almost like not, because I keep seeing it and being like, don't think about it. It's a show that I am very protective over the characters in it. And I have this weird sense where, like, you shouldn't be worrying. That's something that's very much out of your control. Why don't you just get on with your life, James? But also, I can't help but look on Twitter and look on YouTube. And I think there are certain giveaways during the lead up to something coming out, which I think indicate whether or not something is going to be good. Right. And it's usually the ways in which the people who made it start associating themselves heavily with something that's coming out. So when I see, like, the people who aren't necessarily attached on like creating and directing are like jumping on being like, I've seen what they've done here. I think it's really special. I think everyone's going to love this. I get this sense of like, I think this is going to be good. And the same way I'm also like, don't get your hopes up. Chances are you're not going to like it. You're going to dislike some part of it. But basically, I'm really excited and I need to remind myself to calm down.
Has that happened with The Last of Us? That people are jumping on it and going, oh, guys, people are going to be very excited for this?
Like I said, I think people will want to start associating with a good thing if they think it's good. Like
but that's yet to happen. When is it coming out?
January.
Right.
And like, I think when something is bad, I think people who know that, there were creative differences and they're two different directions putting it one way, I think people won't necessarily jump on a bandwagon and be like, guys, I can't wait to share I've seen what they've done. Like the original voice actors who are a part of it, who are obviously attached, will be like, guys, I'm absolutely in love with what they've done with this. You're going to love it. Whereas I think if it was bad and if they knew it wasn't good, they would almost like take a step back. And then I spoke about it months ago when I said I was quite excited because the original writer and the creative director very heavily involved. You got the talent from the likes of the Chernobyl show very heavily involved, and I'm just like, you've got the same composer, lots of the same people that are involved, and I'm just like, oh my god.
So it's quite nice that really you're a bit like a child again. You're really giddily excited for something. Yeah. That's rare. That should be cherished.
And it's one of those stories I've spoken about that's really stuck with me. Characters and things I feel very protective over.
You really did love that game.
Oh,
you?
yeah. It changed
it.
the game.
It did change the game. I recognise, I came to it about a year late, but this isn't a video game podcast. But
it's not. But it will be content worth talking about.
This is the real test,
we'll come into our Venn diagram.
It's the first video game adaptation, which is a TV show, high profile at least.
Is that true?
No, Halo. They did Halo on Paramount Plus.
Very unsuccessfully. Yes. I don't think people have received it very well. I'm not really a Halo guy.
Here we go.
But
then The Last of Us was so narrative-led and character-led.
It's basically a TV show.
That will be one of our early reviews then, I guess, next year.
I guess I'll watch it.
HBO. Oh, you know you will. But I love the fact that every time you see a picture, you're like, ah.
I'm like, just don't. Don't. I'm like trying not to have it occupy my brain space, but now I'm in this very weird toxic cycle of excitement.
Because you don't want to get too overexcited and then be disappointed. You kind of want to go in so low that you can only be impressed.
Yes.
Because the idea of not enjoying it really crushes you.
Yeah, less not enjoying it, more that like I really wish they hadn't gone there. I really wish they'd left what was there. That's great. It's more like touching something good.
Okay.
That's how I am in December, apart from everything else.
Are you well otherwise?
Yeah, otherwise well, a bit tired, starting to like really feel like I need the break.
The shorter days,
the
darkness, the cold. It's got cold now. Shocker, December. In Britain, who knew?
But we've had a
very mild year,
and of all the years to have one.
I know. A very hot summer too, James. My goodness.
With this global warming thing.
It's real. It's real. Anyway, that's not a way to start the show.
Separately, just while we're on video game stuff, did you see the trailer for the Mario movie?
Yes.
With Chris Pratt as Mario.
And I was just like,
Keegan-Michael Key's in there as
just a lot of moments colourful moments.
Yeah.
I didn't come away with it thinking,
I've said this 1,000 times, but it's got the classic reduced piano theme of a once beloved old RIP.
Which they also did with the Indiana Jones trailer, if you saw that.
Yes, I did see that. How do you feel about
that? There is some very dodgy Irishman-esque CGI in that.
I saw already. I went,
uncanny.
whoa.
And it's like, I don't mind them putting in like a deep fake Harrison Ford when he's younger. I'm all for that. I don't like it when Harrison Ford plays a young deep faked Harrison Ford. So if they get 80-year-old Harrison Ford to play 24-year-old Indiana Jones, that's where I'm a little bit...
This is a niche reference for people who ever edit video, but there's a stabilizer effect you use on video, and when it goes really wrong, it like warps the corners of the screen, and you just go, I can't stabilize this, and take it off. It looks like they've done that to his face. And I feel like that's always been the case when I've seen, like, Leia and Grand Moff Tarkin and all of this. I actually think the best one was Samuel Jackson and Captain Marvel, the de-aging I've seen.
Yeah, I think Marvel usually does it quite well. Actually,
Michael Douglas in Endgame.
And no, Ant-Man.
Oh, and Ant-Man.
Oh, and Endgame. Kurt Russell in Guardians. Yeah, all the Marvel stuff's been pretty good. It's amazing that how it isn't consistent though. Because when you go into Star Wars, I thought Grand Moff Tarkin just about worked. And the Leia thing. And Luke in Mandalorian, not really.
No. It got away with it because of how well crafted I think that moment was.
Yeah.
But I think looking back in even 2-3 years...
We were all just pretending, we were like defocusing our eyes.
Yeah, just squinting.
So we don't see the brush strokes.
Through the rose tinted, so denied of that lightsaber that when you get it, you're like, it's okay. I'm just happy to be here.
It is genuinely one of my favourite things when they get an actor and they de-age him and it's so spot on. Like when I saw Guardians 2, I was like, that at the beginning with Kurt Russell, I was like, this is incredible. This is like magic. I can't believe how accurate he looks.
Those TikTok deepfakes as well.
Yeah, I always don't like to linger on those too long because I don't want to condone deepfakes.
You don't know what you're going to see that you won't know it's deepfake.
And one time it's going to be me, and then like, what?
No, what? I didn't say that.
I think maybe that's the sign we've done well. If we ever get deepfake, I don't want to.
I can't wait when we get cancelled, and I'll just be like, it was a deepfake. It's fake news. That wasn't me. These people, they're lying. They're lying. And that'll be my out. What
a start to the show. Anyway, look, it's December. It's Christmas. Let's get on. Let's see what else we've got to talk about. James, just a bit of news I want to talk about is that the Sight and Sound, which is the official magazine of the BFI, the British Film Institute, which is a 90-year-old magazine, a pillar of film criticism both in the UK and worldwide, actually, a very highly regarded cornerstone of film criticism across the world.
Great cinemas.
Has... What?
They have great cinemas.
The BFI?
Yeah.
Yes, the BFI. I think it's Sight and Sound. Yes, the BFI. They do have good cinemas. Yeah, absolutely lovely. Sight and Sound, every decade, release a poll of the greatest films of all time. It started in 1952, and they asked a bunch of critics, pulled together their favourite films and created a poll from that, and it grew and grew and grew. And then over the years, they've actually expanded it and included directors. Now, basically, they open up to the whole industry of creatives, critics, curators, and audience members alike to get together to vote in a poll. From 1962 to 1962 to 2002, the top spot was Citizen Kane.
Okay.
And then in 2012, it was knocked off the top spot by Vertigo. Okay. So here we are again in the next decade, 2022, the latest issue of the poll.
Avatar 2.
The latest version of the poll is now out. And I thought it would be remiss if we did not talk about it.
Let's do it.
And I'm just going to give you the intro they have written here for those people who don't know. In 1952, the Sight and Sound team had the novel idea of asking critics to name the greatest films of all time. The tradition became decennial. First time I've ever seen the word decennial written down, meaning every decade. Who knew?
Love that, yeah.
I mean,
how often do you get to use that word, really?
No,
it happens decennially.
Yeah. Increasing in size and prestige as the decades pass. The Sight and Sound poll is now a major bellwether of critical opinion on cinema, and this year's edition, which is the 8th, is the largest ever, with 1,639 participating critics, programmers, curators, archivists, academics, each submitting their top 10 ballots. That's how it works. Each person submits their top 10 favourite films, and then it's aggregated into a group of 100.
I get that, okay.
So what has risen the ranks? What has fallen? Has 2012's winner, Vertigo, held on to the title? Okay, so...
I'm going to go to the top 10.
I'm going to go to the top. Well, here's the thing. I wanted to bring this poll up because we've had a lot of emails recently talking about how are people going to like get in touch with like film traditions and film history and things outside of that. And I'll go through the top 10 and you'll quickly realize that a lot of these films
I've seen probably very few
of them and heard of even less, right?
And just before you go into it, what an amazing tool for someone who's going, wow, I really feel like I want to connect with films that have completely passed me by, completely before my age. I didn't have anyone, parent, friend, teacher, who is able to point me in the right direction. What a menu of things to start.
Exactly. And you and I have talked about a lot of films on this show. We have barely scratched the surface when you look at films like this. Okay.
It's not The Dark Knight.
I'll give you the top 10 and I'll run through them relatively quickly because some of them
10 to 1.
I think we shouldn't we?
Yeah, it's more fun that way.
So, I mean, first of all, do you want to have any guesses about what might be in the top 10 that you think of the greatest films of all time as voted for by all those people?
I want to say because
Bad Boys 2.
Bad Boys 2, Point Break. I think it's going to be something like a Mulholland Drive prediction, but I don't think I'll know many of them.
Mulholland Drive is in the top 10.
It is in the top 10. Okay. Is Vertigo still there?
Yes.
Is... okay, I'll try and guess one more. Is Serpico there?
Serpico? No.
No, I'm going to leave it. Go on. I don't think I'll know many of them.
And number 10, according to the BFI... Sight and Sound, greatest films of all time, is Singing in the Rain.
Okay. Yeah.
I wouldn't argue with that. Good film. I would happily watch it again. I've only seen it once, but I thought it was very good. I think filmy people love it because it's very self-reflexive about filmmaking. And there you go. And they say, of course, that Hollywood's troubled transition from silent to talking pictures at the end of the 1920s provided the inspiration for perhaps the greatest of movie musicals. Okay. Number 9, film I've never heard of, and I'll just save you guessing, James. Man with a Movie Camera. It's a 1929...
I've heard of that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know anything about it, but I've heard of the title, yeah.
Russian film from 1929, directed by Dziga Vertov. Bottomless invention and frenetic, dizzying montage makes this city symphony one of cinema's sharpest, most exciting experiences nearly a century after its release. Well, great.
Love that.
Number 8 is a film...
Sorry, did you say 29?
That was 1929.
Okay,
exactly.
So is that one of the oldest on the list? How because that's a while ago.
I don't know. No. I can already see number 11 was a film that came out in 1927.
Okay.
Right. And number 8 is a film you mentioned, David Lynch's Mulholland Drive.
Okay, all right.
A film I really struggle to get on board with. And I always feel like such a inadequate film person because you meet filmy people and they're like, you didn't like Mulholland Drive. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
And you
it's
have
a genius.
Film podcast.
It's a disturbed nightmare of someone who's lost their way in the doomed fantasy of Hollywood. Did you not see that? I'm like, no, I did see it. I just didn't get along with it. What Sight and Sound says, Hollywood is dark and dangerous, yet alluring. Yeah, I know. Okay. In David Lynch's acclaimed thriller. Mm-hmm. Number 7, a film you're not going to guess, but a film I have mentioned. I mentioned it in our Double Bills episode when I said it would make a great double bill with Top Gun. Do you remember what that was?
Oh, it's a French thing.
Yeah.
It was called... I can't remember the title, but it's got a very contrasty shadow with bright things. Yeah. I can't remember the title of it. Well, I'm picturing the poster in my mind.
Exactly. It's the 1998 French film Beau Travail by Claire Denis. And the picture they've used is the picture I talked about the moment seeing the film with that
white chest.
They're hugging each other violently. Beau Travail, number 7. Number 6.
You got a recommendation that's made it into top 10.
Yeah, I'm glad they listened.
Bucks Mulholland Drive.
Number 6. Okay, very, very famous film. I think you could easily make a good guess for this. Are you going to guess it?
There's no point. Just go for it.
Let me do that again. And number 6, a film we have all seen and heard of. 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Okay. I should have really guessed that.
I know,
but there you
James.
go.
1968, Stanley Kubrick. Okay, now we're into the top 5.
Okay.
Number 5, Wong Kar-wai's 2000 film In the Mood for Love. Have you seen it?
No.
Very beautiful to look at, stunning, and it's about. It's about. I mean, how do they describe it here? Wong Kar-wai's masterpiece is a heartbreaking story of illicit love that pulses with the ache of repressed desire. It's the story of these 2 neighbors, if I remember this correctly, they discover that their other halves have had an affair with each other, I believe, and there's this kind of implicit sort of expectation for them to sort of. Also, they have the shared connection, the shared attraction, but it's very understated. Are they going to make a move? What's the thing? And it's wonderfully shot. Oh my God, amazing. A little slow for my taste, but don't shoot me, cinephiles, okay? I just thought I'd say it. Number 4.
The army of critics behind the camera.
How dare you? Mark Kermo just takes me out with the sniper. Number 4, Tokyo Story from 1953 by Uzo, which I haven't seen any Uzo films, and I know Tokyo Story is meant to be amazing. It's on the list for a while. Number 3 is the film that was number 1 for ages. No. The film that was number 1 for ages, which was Citizen Kane. Right, okay. Citizen Kane, seen it?
Down. No, not seen Citizen Kane.
You know, it is the Citizen Kane of movies. It is actually.
I said, like, well, it's not Citizen Kane, and I've not seen Citizen Kane, but I know it as that.
I will say, having seen it, you do watch and you go, oh yeah, that's pretty. Oh, that shot was pretty advanced for its time. That was pretty good. It's a pretty good story.
You in the 21st century, guys. This guy was really good.
They did invent cinema 2 weeks ago. You know, this guy knew what he was doing. Okay. Now we're into the top 2. Just tell me this: do you think Vertigo is the number 1 film?
I'm going to say, just from the way you framed it, no.
Oh, okay. I probably should have thought about that before.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say something like also.
You'd be correct. And number 2 is Vertigo.
Okay.
1958, Alfred Hitchcock. James, Vertigo, seen it?
Yes, not well, a long time ago. I weirdly watched Hitchcock quite young and have not properly caught up with it as a grown-up.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
I have seen Vertigo. Last time I saw it was about 7 years ago.
Okay.
Again, I watched it very young and it really threw me.
Yeah, like maybe early teens. Yeah.
But I think I watched it when I was like 11 and it went way over my head. As they describe here, a former detective with a fear of heights is hired to follow a woman apparently possessed by the past in Alfred Hitchcock's timeless thriller about obsession. And it is good. There are moments. I think what makes Vertigo so compelling for people is that you have this conventional detective noir story elevated by almost like psychedelic visuals, made in 1958, pre-psychedelia.
Yeah.
Very sort of psychosexual, obsessive, really uses the elements of film and cinematography to tell that, and it is glorious to look at, but that is not number 1.
God bless you for like boiling that down into 3 sentences really well.
Thank you very much. Number 1 is a film I don't think you've heard of. I'm just going to assume you haven't heard of.
That's fine.
It's a film I have heard of, but I haven't seen, and I'll tell you why once I've described it. Okay, the number 1 film according to the Sight and Sound poll, the greatest of all time, is Jean Dielman, 23, Quai du Commerce, 1080, Bruxelles.
I know the title of this film.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it. Do you know the coffee table book, 1001 Films to See Before You Die?
Yes, and that's always in there.
And that's where I will have seen it.
A magnificent epic of experimental cinema offering a feminist perspective on recurrent events of everyday life. If you hadn't heard of Jean Dielman, as I'm just going to say it in my very English way, it's a Belgian film from 1975 in which it follows the very mundane life of a housewife, Jean Dielman, as she goes about her day. But I think in observing the mundane minutiae of her life, you start to observe the more universal, beautiful elements, and also how her life is slowly unraveling in certain ways, and how she's just making ends meet to protect and work for her son. Now, when the poll was revealed, one of my film friends messaged me and said, have you ever seen Jean Dielman? And I said, funnily enough, I've never actually found time to watch a 3.5-hour Belgian film about a woman who's going through the mundane details of being a Belgian housewife. But here we are. It's the 3.5-hour number 1 top spot
on the Christmas list?
On the sites that... Sure. I
expect a comprehensive review from
It's
George.
Experimental cinema. It's very formal. And the thing is, it's an exercise in formality. So you will have long stretches of nothing happening. And... that's fine.
Question: was that not that you necessarily studied the list from the previous decade, but was that in the top 10? Has it been fighting for a top place and it's just now been has had a resurgence in opinions in the last 10 years?
They've widened and widened the amount of people that can be included in the voting, which is right. To diversify the votership, which is great. The first time that film was in the top 10 was 10 years ago, where it was number 35.
Right. Okay.
And now it's number 1. So it's like, whoa,
big jump.
But I also want to bring up one other thing. So those are the... if you're listening to this and you're like, I've never heard of any of those films, that's fine. That's the good thing. That's the exciting thing. Type in the greatest films of all time, Sight and Sound, BFI, and you'll come up with this list and have a look through and see what interests you, see what you fancy pursuing and fancy looking up. They also did a separate poll which had just ranked all the directors' choices. So obviously this was an aggregated one, but they had another one which was just the directors' choices to show what came through it. And the results are interesting. Different number 1, I believe. I think it was Vertigo number 1 for the director's one.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, can you guess what was number 1 in the director's poll?
Vertigo.
No.
Did you just tell me that?
No, but I was wrong. Vertigo's number 6. I'll give it to you. I'll just give you the top 10.
Okay, yeah.
So there's the triple ninth. Joint ninth is Close Up by Abbas Kiarostami from Iran, 1989.
Is Apocalypse Now up there?
Apocalypse Now is, but it's not in the top 10.
Okay.
It's number 18. This is in the director's poll.
Yeah.
In the Mood for Love at number 9. Persona, Ingmar Bergman, number 9.
Okay.
Then Mirror, Andrei Tarkovsky at number 8.
Yeah.
Followed by Joint number 6. 8.5, the Fellini film. Vertigo, Alfred Hitchcock. Then Joint 4th, Gene Dielman, and then Tokyo Story. And then 321 at number 3, The Godfather. At number 2, Citizen Kane. At number 1, 2001.
We should do you and I, when there's time, should just jump into one of these and be like, hey, this is a top 10 based on whatever little list you want to do at. Like, why don't we? I mean, we talked about Tarkovsky at one point. When we ever get time to do that, that would be amazing. But yeah, I'd love to hear from people who've seen these films. If any of these caught you by surprise, if you've seen any of these and want to also like go, hey, like that one's on the list, you should definitely see it. Yeah. It's really good. Please write in. And
if you want to write in and say, George, for goodness sake, Wong Kar-wai and In the Mood for Love is not a slow film, for goodness sake.
Yes.
Let me know. But I would also just like to say, as this is now 2022, there have been films released in the past 10 years since the past poll. Do you want to know the 3 films that have come out in the past decade that have made it into the top 100 films of all time? Or would you like to guess?
In the last 10 years?
Yes. So since the last poll in 2012, 3 films that have come out in the time since then are now in there.
Parasite?
Correct.
Moonlight?
Yes. But yes, both right.
And the Best Picture winners. And Social Network?
No.
Let's go 12 Years a Slave Too Late?
No.
Let's go... no, go on. Tell me.
A film that people really enjoyed because they were like, oh, that film really discusses and tackles that subject matter in a really interesting and different way.
That's still quite broad, but go on.
Get Out.
Oh, okay.
There's one more as well, which is Portrait of a Lady on Fire by Celine Sciamma, which is at number 30. Moonlight is at... Get Out's at number 95.
That's big for Get Out. I mean, it's a great film, but I think to be on that... Nothing to take away from it, but I'm surprised.
I know.
I'll admit I'm surprised.
Parasite's at number 90 and Moonlight's at number 60. And there we go. So there we are, messily running through BFI. There we are, messily running through Sight and Sound's poll of the year, of the decade. Important to mention because it is a landmark poll. Everyone looks forward to that every 10 years.
George, that was amazing. But actually, we need to talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. So that was fantastic.
James, it's December, it's Christmas time, there's always new Christmas content coming out. This year we've been given the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, a 45-minute thing. It's come out on Disney+. Tell me about it.
The Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special is a short, 45 minutes?
45 minutes.
Special that came onto Disney+. Very much feel like it's sort of in the road to promo for Guardians 3. They dropped a trailer the week it came out, which I thought was quite good. This is set after the events of Avengers Endgame. We are picking up very loosely with the Guardians. You've got Chris Pratt playing Peter Quill, who is very sad and very depressed. As we all know, Peter Quill acts as this vertical slice of 80s culture from planet Earth, and no one around him really understands what the hell he's talking about. They don't get his cultural touchstones, and he's very depressed because he lost the love of his life in the Infinity Wars of Gamora. He lost Gamora.
Look at you building the lore. I love it.
Look at me. I'm trying to just dip my toe in. And the sad thing is that Gamora died to get the Soul Stone to Thanos. But what did happen through the use of time travel is that they were able to get a different version of Gamora back to
2014 Gamora.
2014 Gamora, who is not in love with Peter Quill. Yeah. And of course that's getting him down. And Dave Bautista's Drax and Pom Clementive's Mantis are looking at Peter Quill going, God, he's just so sad. There's only something we could do to cheer him up. You know what I've just realized? If we look at our galaxy calendars, it is Christmas back on Earth. What's Christmas all about? And they said, well, you know who Peter Quill always goes on about? Actually, I'm not going to... it's in the trailer.
It's in the opening credits.
And it's in the credits. You know what Peter Quill always goes on about? Kevin Bacon. He's the hero. I mean, he played a man. Oh no, he was the man who saved a town by dancing. And Peter Quill saved an entire galaxy. What if you and I, to cheer Peter Quill up, went back and got him Kevin Bacon as a present. And this is a special which I had barely thought about, had barely looked at, and my expectations were neither high nor low, just almost non-existent. Yeah. This is a really silly special, but I didn't mind it being silly at all. To me, it didn't overstay its welcome. Mantis and Drax are two characters that are quite evenly comedically aligned because they are lacking a certain self-awareness. They don't really have an ability to not tell the truth. And they both sort of have this fish out of water style comedy where they go to planet Earth and they walk along Hollywood Boulevard and they break into Kevin Bacon's house to essentially try and kidnap him. And that's basically what happens. There are two musical numbers in this, songs.
Yeah.
The bit opening, the Christmas song in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then there are two opening numbers in this. If you are expecting Kang to come in and reveal more or to hear more about the Guardians and their place within this universe, I think you will be disappointed. But as a very little skin in the game, very little skin coming out, isn't it nice? We've got a cozy Christmas. Sorry, that's a siren on our end. Very nice cozy Christmas thing. I didn't mind it at all. George, how did you feel about it?
Oh, James,
You didn't like it?
I'm just not quite up there with you.
I think it's one of the better Marvel films that have come out this year.
If me trying to remember the fact that I couldn't remember how many music numbers were in something that I watched less than 24 hours ago tells you anything. Here's the thing with Guardians of the Galaxy, the holiday special. When you watch something like that with characters you love, characters you enjoy, you want to come away with, especially with the Christmas content, with a warm, fuzzy, kind of happy feeling inside you. I found that very hard to do when I could not get past the feeling, the lingering feeling that this is a cold, cynical, corporate, decided placeholder to put that Marvel has put to keep audiences aligned because it's been a while since we've had a Guardians of the Galaxy film, right? And they're teeing us up for Guardians 3. Now that is
when is Guardians 3 out?
Next year.
But we're like,
I think springtime, maybe.
Okay.
Now that is a very cynical view on my part, but
cynical.
when the whole thing began, and we're reunited with the Guardians, I just suddenly thought, I have actually no idea where these guys are anymore. Yeah. I don't know emotionally where they are. I know where Quill is a little bit, but I don't know where we are. And they say, okay, we're on nowhere. We're doing this. And I found there was a lot of exposition.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I'll let you finish.
With Quill, also, you said that, like, oh, he's so heartbroken about Gamora. Yeah, only because Mantis tells Drax that via dialogue. For me to emotionally really get into this film, I would have loved to have seen a bit of, like, emotional pain on Quill's part. If they could just show me that, show me him being sad, instead of Chris Pratt just, like, having a very straight face and Mantis saying, he's very sad, we must do this. There's a very sort of hokey bit at the beginning when they're all on the balcony and they're like, I've heard of Christmas. What's Christmas? Oh, it's this amazing thing. I think I'd like to do that. Insert joke here. Look, it's...
I think you've massively overthinking.
No. I don't criticize me about overthinking, James. It is, I think... No, do you know what it was? Is that I just found it really naff. And I was like, is it being deliberately naff? Or is it being accidentally naff? And I found it was more accidentally naff than deliberately. So look, I think there's still plenty of stuff to enjoy. It's always, Dave Bautista is always great as Drax, and Pumpkin Monteith as Mantis is fine. Even though, here's the other cynical thing I thought. It's like Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, except it's Drax and Mantis on planet Earth, so it costs us less money.
I think your point about it being a cheap.
I didn't say cheap.
Not cheap, sort of a watermarked reminder for the Guardians. Like, remember them? We've not forgotten them.
Yeah.
I know they turn up in Thor. Here they are again.
Yeah.
Not quite your main meal yet. That being said, I still think they probably took that instruction and went, okay, let's just not try to do what I think a lot of Marvel films have done, which is kind of reinvent the wheel every single time.
No, I know.
Replan it. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying, like, from my opinion, I was almost a little bit relieved it was just a comedy set. It was basically one comedy idea. An episode. Really like an episode of the TV show. If you were going to get a 24 episode Guardian season, that's what it would look like.
The Christmas episode.
Yes.
I agree. But that's...
And I was reminded while watching it, I was like, yeah, I am kind of looking forward to seeing these characters again.
I was more thinking, look, I like Guardians a lot.
You do,
Guardians 1 is like one of my favorite Marvel films. I went to the Secret Cinema thing recently. I'm always happy to see those characters. But I thought it was just like contrived episode scene followed by contrived episode scene where let's have a bit where they go down Hollywood Boulevard and then let's get them to walk down the thing. And it felt for me like treading water, killing time.
When Kevin Bacon sang, that's when I was like, okay, here we are. I was like, this is dumb.
Kevin Bacon is perfectly game for it. Well, why wouldn't he be? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just a bit. I just felt it didn't give me much as a Christmas feeling, and I've just thought, come on, guys, can we not up the ante a little bit? It felt a little bit.
When they turned the lights on,
Chris Pratt had the blankest expression on his face. I was like, give me a bit of wonder.
Do you think he did 3 days filming?
That's the thing. I think
he was in one location.
I think you can tell the actors are a bit like, why are we doing this for? Are we not?
It's in my contract.
Yeah, I have to. Okay.
Yeah.
Did it make you barely in it? No, it made me.
He's barely in all of them.
He's barely in this one though. But he's barely in this one.
What do you want Groot to do or say?
Well, we are Groot. Look, did it make me laugh? No. There was one bit I went, huh, which is Mantis in a bar. I don't look. It's heart's in the right place.
Yeah.
No problem. But I don't know. Again, you're right. I'm definitely more than likely overthinking it.
Yeah.
But there was a moment where I just thought, I feel like I'm watching an episode of a show in its 10th season. You know, like when you're watching something something you used to love, and now we've been reduced to a caper, like Drax the Destroyer is now jumping over fences in Beverly Hills.
Marvel is technically in.
That's my point.
And I'm just like,
I can't. Every time I return to a Marvel thing now, I have this increased feeling of, oh God, I don't really care. But I accept, as you said when we did Thor: Love and Thunder and all that stuff. Like, we're growing out of it. Maybe it's not targeted at me. I'd be interested to know if other people liked it, and I'm really sorry that
I think when you read the title, Guardians Holiday Christmas Special, whatever it was, I go, okay, this is going to be silly. And I was a little bit relieved they didn't try to do anything more than what they did. That's kind of what... Because I think if you overtouch Quill, who's basically the character what we really care about, what's going to happen to, like, at the moment, I don't think any other of the Guardians are really that... I'm not really tuning in for them. They're like fun comedic foils to Quill.
I guess, yeah.
I'm kind of glad in this 45-minute special about Christmas, you didn't go and give me all of this stuff I need to remember. I think a lot of people who have not been paying attention to Marvel, who saw Guardians 1 and 2, can very easily just jump into that and have a good time. And so for that, I will credit it.
Fine. I would say, yes, it was silly, absolutely, but it wasn't very fun.
I found it fun.
Two different things.
I was like mildly watching it going, yeah, this is dumb and very inoffensive.
Okay.
And I'll take it for that.
Okay. I mean, yep, fine. But I will forget. I have pretty much forgotten it, and I will move on from it quickly. But if you guys watch it, it's only 45 minutes, and I'm not anti-Christmas, believe me.
It probably ranks like 3rd on my Marvel content of 2022.
Wow.
It's probably
What's higher than that?
Loki.
That was last year.
Okay. Is it?
Yeah, it was last year.
Fuck. What else was this year? Maybe it's higher.
This year was Thor, Black Panther,
maybe drawing at the moment.
What was earlier in the year? Oh God,
Eternals?
No, that was last year. Shang-Chi was last year. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Is this the best Marvel thing I saw in 2022?
That's it. There's your headline, James.
It could be.
And you know what? I wouldn't disagree.
I might have to give it to Black Panther, only just because that's doing quite a lot more than this is. Even if I didn't love it,
wow.
Tell me another Marvel thing I enjoyed more than that.
Wow. Fair enough. If you guys liked the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, holiday special rather, I did like that the opening titles used a font which I'm pretty sure is the same font that they used in the Muppets Christmas Carol.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, look, also, I'm fully aware that James Gunn always puts in lots of little details and lots of fun little moments.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I've been a little bit mean. I liked the Christmasness in the end was fine, but it was just fine. Let us know what you thought, guys, if you've seen it and if it hit the spot for you.
What more realistically could it have? And I'm not challenging your opinion. I'm just trying to unpack it. I don't think you're wrong. What more? Like realistically, do you think it should have tried to do in that? Like, what kind of holiday special would you have been like? That's exactly.
I just wish I'd want to emotionally care more about these characters that I haven't spent a lot of time with.
Yeah,
I haven't seen these characters in a while, so you can't just suddenly say to me that guy you last saw 4 years ago, he's sad, so we need to do something for him. It felt very like we're just going to give you the memo of what you need to know instead of give me in the feels.
It felt cartoony, which
it literally is at the beginning.
It is at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. But
when I think about like great Christmas, I know you just did an outro, but you know when I think about really great Christmas specials, I think about the UK Office Christmas special, which is a double feature, and it's both a Christmas episode, a reaction, like David Brent's like reacting to the first 2 seasons, and it has like serious character consequences for the people and like ends the story. I'm like, there you go. Like that is Christmas content that's heartwarming. David Brent learns something at the end, and like, you know.
And it resolves the story.
Resolves the love story.
We should move on.
Let's do it. If you had, did you already do that?
I did that, but if you didn't hear us 2 minutes ago, you know what to do. Write it. My lukewarm reaction to Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special aside, it is December, it is Christmas time, and we didn't really talk about Christmas films last year that much. So I just thought, let's just take a minute to, at least on my part, to show that I do care about Christmas. I do enjoy Christmas watching. If you're gonna go home with your family and you want to put on a Christmas film, what are you putting on?
Oh, like the generic ones that go on is The Holiday is very much adored.
Oh God, you do like that, don't you?
I enjoy it. I feel like now it's gone through its cycle of being like resurged from when it came out, and now I think it's becoming tired again. If I'm really analysing it, but I appreciate 5 to 10 years ago, it had like cozy merit.
Yes.
I've kind of tried to explain this to you before, and I don't think anyone will ever understand, but Home Alone 3...
Home Alone 3? No,
I've mentioned this to you before.
I have. With Scarlett Johansson in it?
Yes, with Scarlett Johansson, and it's weirdly cozy. It's weirdly good. Look, am I going to say it's better than Home Alones 1 and 2 on my film podcast? No. But is it better than anybody has given it a chance for? Yes.
Okay.
It is.
I mean, I'm not going to check.
Macaulay Culkin, not in it. Did I care as a kid? No. Home Alone 3 is funny.
All right.
Home Alone 3 is good. I can't mention anything else to it without going into it. I'm not going to do it. But the Briefles are big fans of Home Alone 3. Go on. What are your go-tos?
I think.
So we do like Sound and Music, Mary Poppins, which aren't directly Christmas films.
I know, but that's the thing. There are a demarcation between what Christmassy films and Christmas films. So I think the one we need to talk about, the elephant in the room, the one we love the most, and we've mentioned throughout the year, is The Grinch. Now, we've done spatterings of The Grinch, and you and I are in universal agreement that that film is incredibly funny, incredibly
layered,
weird, and much funnier and smarter than anyone gives it credit for.
And funnier than I would ever. I found it funny for different reasons as a child when it came out, and I find it funny for completely different reasons now that I'm a grown-up. It's one of the great underrated Jim Carrey performances.
Would you say Christmas?
Christmas
performance.
Chris Carrey. No.
I agree. And I think that the problem is with The Grinch that the first 10 minutes are really strange and weird and wacky. It's really, really bonkers in the kind of way like early noughties films just work.
Everyone's got weird noses.
Yeah, and it's a little bit grotesque.
It's very familiar, but also completely different to anything you've ever seen before.
And
it is Dr. Seuss world, so everything's a bit heightened and strange from the illustrations. I was trying to think
about how much the Grinch has permeated my life, like just on like an everyday level. It's not just like we watch it every Christmas. It's like it's referenced in my family all the time. And I pulled up, like, just went through like some like Grinch quotes, and I was amazed at how many have, like I said, permeated my life. So obviously in lockdown, there was the whole 4 o'clock, wallow in self-pity, 4:30, stare into the abyss, 5 o'clock, solve what hunger, tell no one.
6 o'clock,
jazzercise. 6:30, dinner with me.
I can't cancel that again. I'm booked.
And then it's like 7 o'clock, wrestle with my self-loathing. Of course, if I bump the self-loathing tonight, I could still be done in time to lay in bed, stare at the ceiling, and slip slowly into madness.
It's just so good.
And the other thing as well in lockdown, the quote I referenced a lot was, am I just eating because I'm bored? When he eats the empty glass bottle.
I like the one when he sees his godparents back in the town. He's like, are you still living?
Again, we came back from holiday once, and we'd forgot to organise that the front pots, we forgot to ask the neighbour to water these 2 trees we had in the front garden, right? And we came back and there'd been a heat wave, and they were still alive, and literally pulled into the driveway, and I just went, are you 2 still living? James and I went out to a social event last week, and the social event, we found out more people were coming like 2 hours before, and I immediately messaged him with the Grinch gif that said, but what will I wear? And James, of course, replied with, but what if it's a cruel prank? What if it's a cash bar? And obviously when he's trying on the
Endlessly
clothes,
applicable.
I know. And when he's trying on the clothes, he's like stupid, ugly, out of date. If I can't find something nice to wear, I'm not going.
There's also the, I don't know if you mentioned these, but physical ones where he goes to get the tablecloth off the table and perfectly rips it out and all the cutlery just stays there. But because he's the Grinch, he can't let that happen, so he just runs back and just shovels it.
It's so good.
Or like when they're feeding him all the food,
yeah.
and they just point this like, it's like a mixture of coloured paste, and he just looks like,
well, this is not pudding. What is it?
and then they come up with another one, and he's just like, shoving it.
There's also the.
So I'm not making it through.
No, it's brilliant. And you know the bit when he's alone in his chair and he's like, I've got all the company I need right here. Hello. The echo brings it back. You know, I asked you first.
I'm an idiot.
Yeah, you're an idiot.
Oh, that's smart. Say exactly what I say.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah. But
what I'm going to whisper, so that by the time the sound travels back to my ears, I'm not going to hear it.
And that's it. When we were younger, right? Like if I ever made a joke, no.
Sorry,
It's funny, but like if I ever made a joke and it didn't land very well, or I said something and there was a silence, my brother would let it hang and then go, "You're an idiot." And there's, just quickly, some other ones that stayed. There's the whole when he crashes his test his sleigh, it crashes into the wall, and he gets out and just goes, "Airbag's a little slow."
I like it when he's in the mailroom in the beginning and he's just doing like really minor Grinch crimes, which is taking everyone's post and rearranging it. It's like,
now it's yours.
And now it's yours, and yours is his, and his is hers, and yours is hers. It'll take them years to figure this out. And then he's just like flicking him in. He's like, jury duty,
blackmail, hate slip. And I do that now when I get posts of people and I bring it in, I'm like, jury duty. Yes, it's gone straight to, and also
I hope people are understanding this and following the
I'm
references.
sorry if this is completely intelligible, but as you can tell, we really, really like this film.
And also, like I mentioned before, incredibly underrated Jim Carrey performance. I think when people talk about the great all-time Jim Carrey performances, they'll go to Liar Liar, Eternal Sunshine, Truman Show.
Yeah.
No, Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
No one
No one
mentions the Grinch.
Yes, I agree.
It is criminal.
He sat through like torture levels of makeup
Hours.
every day.
And sometimes like full body. I can't even imagine.
And he still commits the very physical, the very in-depth Jim Carrey performance. The whole bit where he realizes that he can get Max, his dog, to be Rudolph, and he does this whole bit where he's like a director and he puts the nose on Rudolph. It's like, okay, here's the deal, kid. Your name's Rudolph. You're like all the other reindeers don't like you, but you want to lead Santa's sleigh tonight. Action! Guys, I'm really sorry if we've ruined this film for you now.
Max, where's my cloak?
Brilliant. Please check it out. I know it's weird, but I love it. And then when they brought out like the the Illumination animation with Benedict Cumberbatch,
The Illumination animation.
and I thought, no,
Didn't see it.
I'm sticking with Jim Carrey. No, I don't. I didn't think you need to. That was a bit hefty. But there are other Christmas films. I would say I actually always am happy to watch Die Hard because
Same.
You know when we talked about Bruce Willis earlier in the year, we went through his filmography. We talked about Die Hard 3 and stuff.
Yes.
Like Die Hard, Christmas aside, is incredibly well executed, efficient, entertaining.
Watched it last year. It
Action
still
film.
works.
Brilliant. The Christmas element in it does work, and it is a Christmas film. It's all about a guy.
take.
It's all about that. I mean, people have been saying this for many years. It's all about a guy trying to reunite with his family for Christmas.
It
Come out to the
is.
coast, get together, we'll have a few laughs. So I'm always happy to watch that. If you like Die Hard at Christmas time, there is a very funny sketch by people called Rigor Tortoise online, and it's about other people being on the walkie-talkie frequency the same night as Die Hard.
Oh,
so it's
that
like
sounds funny.
a kid gets a walkie-talkie for Christmas. He's playing around and it's like, Al, do you call me? It's like, hello? And it's like, class? Who said anything about class? No, I said a boy in my class. Anyway, check it out.
Oh, that's funny.
Love that. And do you have any more?
I'm going to give a passing shout out to Trading Places, your Trading Places fan, with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. Really great social satire. I won't go deep into it, but it's like broad strokes. They try to manipulate this guy by taking a Wall Street banker and switching him. We're played by Dan Aykroyd, and switching places with Eddie Murphy, who's a black homeless man, and it's all about the comedy between that. Yeah. Great Christmas film, all about sticking it to the man. Yeah. 2 incredible comedic performances. If you ever have just been like wondering how good Eddie Murphy was back in the day, go and check that out. And I looked at a lot of Christmas lists, and I thought, okay, well, everyone knows that one's good, and that's a classic, and that's one for the oldies. And I thought I'd choose one which I looked and has a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is criminal. This Christmas film stars Michael Keaton. It stars Mark Addy, and it is Jack Frost.
Oh,
now look,
wow,
14%.
Hang on, just tell people what this film is.
Jack Frost, you may know,
2003 film.
2003. Michael Keaton is a musician who's never home for Christmas to see his son. He has a very distant relationship, and he always promises he's going to go and see his son's ice hockey game. Oh. And he's playing in this band, and he's been given this great opportunity, and it's Christmas Eve, and he's going to miss Christmas, and everyone's gutted, but he says, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going to go. I'm going to go home to be with my kid for Christmas. And what happens? He crashes, and he dies. Oh. And it's got an amazing moment where Landslide by Fleetwood Mac plays, and he basically uses before he dies, the dad gives Jack Frost a harmonica, and he says, listen, sorry,
what is happening?
Sorry, before Michael Keaton dies, he gives his son the harmonica that he uses in his band, and he says, listen, I know I'm not going to be here for Christmas, but whenever you play that harmonica, I can hear you.
Right.
Wherever I am, I can hear it. And of course, Michael Keaton goes on to die, and this little boy, Charlie, who's 13, decides to make a snowman for Christmas, and he always used to make a snowman with his dad. And what's really hard is that he can't lift the really heavy pieces of snow because he usually has his dad to help him. But despite that, he struggles all through the night building a snowman without his dad, and he puts his dad's hat on it, and he puts his dad's scarf on it, and he puts all the buttons and the carrot stick nose. And at night, he's crying in his bedroom because his dad's there, and he's playing the harmonica. And what happens? His dad comes to life as the snowman. And Michael Keaton is the snowman. And look, it's funny, it's heartwarming, but when I tell you we watched it last year and you had a bunch of adults in the room sobbing.
No way.
The fact that this is a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, not that I take those ratings seriously, is an absolute crime. Wow. It is so underrated. If you've ever had daddy issues or you just have a heart, this will absolutely rake you down. I watched it last year. It is good. Do not sleep on Jack Frost.
Okay, that's amazing. I would say if a snowman came to life in my back garden and it had the voice of Michael Keaton, I would be terrified. Not because it's a talking snowman, but it's Michael Keaton.
And that's a significant part of it, where he's like, I don't believe you're my dad, and he's chasing him around, and no one believes him that the snowman's alive.
Well, what happens when the winter is? Oh,
I know.
No!
It's all about learning to let go. And he teaches him he was meant to teach him how to do this like shot in ice hockey, and he never got the chance to. So now he's back, he's able to teach him. And he's like, hey, why did you stop playing for the team? He helps him confront his school bully. He helps him start studying again. It is wonderful. It's all about growing up. It is all about coming of age. It's about letting go. It's about love. It's about masculinity. It's fantastic.
I really feel like, that's one for the poster. I really feel like the high concept, folksy films were you just don't get those made now.
No.
They're either like...
With Michael Keaton?
Yeah, I know. Wow.
Yeah.
A star vehicle.
Mark Addy's in it as well as a nice comic relief. He's good.
As an American.
No, he's British and American, but he's like a sort of rock band sort of guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's sort of like
Mark
a
Addy,
tired Oasis member.
Okay,
yeah.
Wow. I'm definitely maybe going to watch that.
I'm not saying it's 5 stars. I'm saying I was
just
just flicking through, and I said, instead of just talking about all these films everyone knows is good, I'm going to just give a shout out to the criminally undervalued Jack Frost.
Okay.
That is all, George.
Well, my last one is a film I've referenced in passing from time to time throughout the year, and I have to say it now because I'm going to just wanted to give it its proper fair dues moments, which is 1960, Billy Wilder's The Apartment. And the reason I bring it up is that it is a film that is simultaneously a Christmassy film and a Christmas film, okay? And what I mean, it straddles that line.
How explain?
It's Christmassy in the sense it's an old black and white movie, and it's
cozy,
sort of exactly. And it's a Christmas film that the events take place over Christmas and the days before and running up to New Year's Eve. Okay.
Yeah.
Feet in 2 camps there. Here's why The Apartment is so good, and how The Apartment made it onto Sight and Sound's best 100 films of all time list recently. So here's the gist: Jack Lemmon. who's in his early 30s, is a very hardworking office bod in New York, Manhattan, does something like accountancy. We see him at the beginning, I've mentioned this before, these rows of desks, and he's just typing away nonstop. And he's very industrious because he's a bachelor. He's got no home to go to, really, no family to look after. So he works hard, and he's very amenable, and he narrates the beginning. He's like, I work in the CCC building of the blah, 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 blah. And it's all very sort of bureaucratic and faceless. But he's, happy-go-lucky kind of guy. How he gets ahead in the world is that he stays later to work, and in so doing, he leaves his key under his mat for his apartment, and he lets all the senior executives at his company use it as a place where they can take their mistresses to, okay? And you have this scene, for example, he gets home and he's late and he's tired, but the one of the execs is still in there and they're still playing the music, and he has to wait outside, he has to hide, and they come out and they're still holding the champagne flutes, and he's just like, leave the key under the mat. It's this very sort of comedic thing. You've got these overstuffed, really sort of joyous executives, and Jack Lemmon, brilliantly played, is just downtrodden in his little trench coat. And he's saying, and he sort of pulls the guy aside. He says, I've got a terrible cold. Please, can I get inside and just lie down? And he gets in. He has to tidy up and everything. So that's his life. He will just rent out not even rent it. He will just let senior executives have access to his flat. And in so doing, they always take a shine to him. Oh, hello, Baxter. Very good to see you again. Hey, you did that favor for me that time. I'm looking forward to you. Hey, your review's coming up. And that's always happening in the chatter. Now, classic 1960s. There are these long queues for the lifts, and you have the I don't know what you call them, lift ushers, and
I'm just Googling the apartment film. Keep going.
One of the lift ushers is played by a very young Shirley MacLaine, who plays Fran Kubelik, who is sparky, funny, witty, a little sarcastic, and they have this conversation in the lift going up, and he just completely taken by her, and he finds her really funny, and they clearly have a nice bit of warmth, and then he thinks, okay, I'm going to take a shine to her. However, thrown into the mix, and what's unbeknownst to Jack Lemmon at this point, is that the very, very head, the CEO of the company, Fran Kubelik, is his mistress, okay? So the girl he likes is the top executive who will give him the promotion he wants.
Wow.
So you have this kind of love triangle. Anyway, that's the kind of setup. And the reason it's a really interesting film is that you have this kind of fun first act where there's a little bit of Christmas parties, there's some dates, it's kind of the activity in being New York City. And then unexpectedly, out of nowhere, the second act goes somewhere very dark. And you think, oh, I did not think this film would go there. It completely works, doesn't derail the film at all, but makes it so much more interesting, gives it so much more depth with this bit of darkness in the second bit. And then it's a film also that explores those weird days after Christmas but before New Year's. And it's about loneliness. It's about isolation. It's about how men can't express their feelings. It's about how men use women. It's about how the disposability of Christmas is extended to people. It's about how men of power are tactless. And it's about...
That sounds great. That sounds like loads of things.
I thought
you
had
didn't
a
need
third
to
thing.
say that many.
Why did I do a rule of three? No.
You had plenty.
So look, it's sweet, it's heartfelt, but it's poignant as well, and it's got a real sort of like dark, bitter edge to it that really makes all the relationships in it much more interesting. Very witty lines, as you expect from Billy Wilder. Now, and I watched that, and I'm like, you can watch this if you're not into Christmas films. That's fine, because you can watch this. It's just a great film, and you can watch it any time of year. But if you are in a Christmas mood and you want to watch a Christmas movie, you can put that on, because that has the emotional highs and lows of a Christmas movie at very high quality delivered to you.
That's another value in a Christmas movie that works outside of December.
What's that?
Like I was saying, it's good if you can watch a Christmas movie outside.
Exactly.
Like Die Hard, you can watch
Die Hard, you
easily
can watch it outside. But
But
some
the
people,
Holiday, maybe not.
Some people would say that makes it not a Christmas film, but I would say the quality is very good. So if you haven't seen it, and also particularly relevant because we've talked about, seeing older films reaching further beyond than the horizon. No streaming platform this Christmas is going to be pushing The Apartment to you.
No.
It might be on BBC iPlayer at a push.
Yeah, they usually throw a
The
load of old
classics.
stuff on there, don't they? Which is quite nice.
It's genuinely one of my favourite films, of all time. So
Sounds fantastic.
I recommend if anyone has time this Christmas to watch The Apartment, you'll be in for a treat. And you would have ticked off one of the lists, one of the films on the BFI Sight and Sound's top 100 films of all time.
The only thing you're going to see on a streaming site is Drax and Mantis what?
Guardians of the
What are we going to do?
So there we are. I mean, James, any others?
No, I'm quite happy with that. There are so many you can talk about.
Yes.
And I think everyone's Christmas is a little bit different. I'm going to be watching West Side Story this Christmas,
Yes.
even though it's not necessarily Christmas film, it's
It's
Christmas Eve.
absolutely.
So it's sort of back and forth, and
totally.
I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm going to sort of gather the family and be like, it's for everyone. Let's all watch.
And do you know what? We had an email recently about how we're never really that mean because we always try and be constructive when we talk about films, which would be true. But we haven't read this email out, but it came in, and we did do in our early days last year an episode where it was like the worst films we've seen, and it was me basically going through all the films that I really didn't like in the past like 5 years. And this emailer really enjoyed it, and so just in honor of that, I will bring it up again because one Christmas film you do not have to see is Last Christmas with Emilia Clarke, which is absolutely dreadful. A really, really awful film.
2 years ago?
Yeah, 2019. No, three. My God, it came out in 2019. It just does not work. I'm very sorry. Emilia Clarke, again, me trying to be constructive, really goes for it.
Yeah.
Really constructive. I mean, I know I'm repeating myself. I
You
did say
can
this
go
last
back
year.
to our, if you scroll way back to the beginning of our feed, you can find George's amazing rant on that film.
I didn't enjoy being so negative, but my God, they're garbage. Anyway, that's it. But anyway, there you are. Those are some Christmas films. Be interested to know what you guys watch this Christmas.
Please write into hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com and tell us what you're thinking of watching or what you like to watch. As always, we would love to hear about it. You know what I thought was really, really cool and really snuck up on me was people posting their Spotify Wrapped for this year. And not just being in people's top 5, but being in people's top podcasts that they listen to.
We feel the love.
Completely forgot. Thank you for everyone who sent a screenshot or atted us in their story. That's so cool. I couldn't post all of them on the Instagram, but I saw every single one of them. Thank you, as always, for spending your year with Pulp Kitchen. It's so cool.
Even if we didn't make it into Spotify Wrapped, we also know that we really appreciate it.
And we hope we're there
next year.
Speaking of our fans, they write into the show to hello@popkitchenpodcast.com to send in their thoughts, their questions, their concerns, just like John did. John writes in with the email subject aliens ? And he says, "Hi George and James, I hope this email finds you both well.
Sure.
I'm a big fan of the podcast, and as someone trying to brush up on their film knowledge, your podcast has been refreshing to listen to. Your views and opinions as well as perfect to find film recommendations. The Before series has even entered the watch list after George's continuous plugging. Stay tuned for that later. My question centers around sci-fi, a genre I'm not an avid watcher of, but love the creativity involved. From a recent rewatch of 2021's Dune the other week, I had the following question I'd be keen to get your thoughts on. When it comes to monsters/aliens, I get so frustrated when they seemingly have 2 arms, 2 legs, and speak fluent English. Whilst I understand a bigger budget is required to do anything with CGI or prosthetics, it's always appreciated when filmmakers are ambitious of how they portray non-human life. My question is, what are some of your favorite depictions of alien non-human creatures? Some favorites of mine are the Alien for the aptly named film Alien 79 and Monsters in the similarly aptly titled Monsters 2010. I do, however, give pass to Meet Joe Black as it's a fantastic film where something never seems quite right with Brad Pitt's character and you sincerely believe his performance. Secondly, and a very short unrelated question, what is your favorite way to watch a film? In the IMAX, cinema, or on your sofa? And do you have any film watching red flags, aka people eating snacks or talking throughout the film? Here's to another 50 episodes of Pulp Kitchen, and keep up the good work. Kindest regards, Jonathan. Let's start.
We're going to
back
break
the
that
top.
down. So the first question is best creature design in sci-fi movies.
Before that, thinking about aliens that have 2 arms and 2 legs and seemingly more humanoid than they could be.
No, you mean I think it's more like you just get an actor to play. Oh, I'm a creature, and
yes,
I see what you mean. I mean, I think what does work very well is when you have a creature that is almost humanoid. It's like it's almost there, but there's something really off about it. Like, or maybe it's slightly enhanced. You know, in a way that chimpanzees and gorillas and apes can be quite uncomfortable and aggressive to be. We told that. You remember the Louis Theroux story we told about? It's just like that. It's because they're humanoid and they're human-like, but they are different and they obey by different rules.
And the cartoon, if you type in alien in the cartoon, you get the big head, big eyes, long limbs kind of thing. Yeah. It's like, yes, that's sort of the stock image of an alien, but there's something oddly eerie about how familiar they're, like cold humans that aren't, they have no emotion.
Yes.
I will give a shout out to that found footage scene in Signs when it walks past the
Right,
hedge.
yeah.
One of the great scares, and Joaquin
yeah.
Phoenix is watching the screen and he's like, he screams with the audience. I will give shout out to that. One particular non-humanoid alien thing that I quite liked is in Arrival. The sort of hand, they sort of look like a hand down sort of heptapod things. Those looked like nothing I'd ever really seen before, and I'll give a shout out to them. They didn't have mouths or faces, but they were sort of smart and communicated through like squid ink. I'll give a shout out to that.
I would say that. I was actually going to say for humanoid ones, Vincent D'Onofrio as the alien in Men in Black.
Oh,
with the skin,
well,
salt water.
But he's an alien in the skin of a human.
Yeah, I know, but it's more like you don't see the alien that goes into him.
Yes, not till the end.
So, but also good creature design for when it is out.
Oh, yeah, very good.
I don't have any one specifically. Obviously, Alien just kills it. And The Thing, I mean, where do you go with The Thing? Because The Thing is humanoid at first. I mean, that's, that's really freaky. That's creepy. Yeah, no, the Thing has got to be in there. The Thing,
clearly genius.
On bringing that up, The Thing is 40 years old this year, right? I can't believe we didn't mention it. And it is definitely a Christmas Eve film in the sense that it's just that winter, I feel like I want to watch it now because it's that bleak Arctic or Antarctic research center. And when Kurt Russell's line at the beginning, first goddamn week of winter.
Yeah.
You must, if you've not seen The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982.
And even like thinking about how we do AI, which is something we don't have. It's an amorphous concept. Yeah. And I think about The Red Glow in 2001, or even the voice in Her. Yeah. And like how that, it's so humanoid and you can picture it and it's a familiar Scarlett Johansson voice, but it doesn't really ever have a form, but you understand its impact. I feel like Alien and AI are always weirdly kind of like a similar theme. Next question is, what is your favorite way to watch a film? You mentioned the IMAX, cinema or sofa, any film red flags. What's your favorite way to watch a film?
That's really hard to answer actually, because it changes every time. It changes on different films.
Every time.
I have seen films where I've gone to the cinema and seen films and thought I could have watched that at home.
100%.
And I've seen films at home and I've thought I wish I'd seen that at the cinema. I mean, obviously, seeing something in IMAX is always great. To have something so loud and so big, it's just pure immersion. What's not to like? I tell you what's not to like is if you're James and I's height, is the seat size at the BFI IMAX. Not great.
A little bit, yeah.
Thing is, I'm cautious to say this, but I don't mind watching films at home. Okay,
me neither.
I like it. I like the comfort of my own. I like the fact it takes out less time. I don't have to commute to a cinema to go and see it. It's cheaper. I can watch it more easily with other people. But there is the ego death of going to the cinema that's so good, of being
the immersion,
trapped in the. I sometimes think if I sit down to watch a 2-hour, or pick any of those films on the Sight and Sound list, right? A lot of those are old films, a lot of those are foreign films, but the pacing and the whole construction of film is completely different. Would I have the patience for one of those films if I watched that at home, or would I actually have more patience if I'm watching it locked in at a cinema? I've paid for my ticket, I have to watch it. It's right there, it's the best conditions, it's big, it's writ large. If I try and watch those films at home...
You and I have also spoken briefly about the process of taking yourself to the cinema and how that's like a weird foreplay for what you're about to watch, and then afterwards taking yourself home with the only thing that you remember watching is your film, and you're sort of processing it. I mean, like, it's very easy to say, oh, go see it in IMAX, spend big money on the ticket, but I also think it depends on the experience and depends on whether or not it's actually properly done that way. Otherwise, I think it can be a bit of a waste of money, except when it's properly formatted, and then it's like the only way to see it.
I would say if you're really into film, like, we try and use the benefits of both, actually. It's like we live in an era where we can watch so much content, there's so much stuff out there. Yeah. So at home viewing, we've got so much access. So use that to your advantage and watch as much as you can. Yeah. But always try and make an effort to go to the cinema throughout the year, just to balance that out. You want to make sure you have a rounded viewing experience. You can say, oh, I've watched some stuff at home and I really enjoyed that. I've watched that at the cinema. I even went to a live screening of this thing. Yeah. Just keep it
not
rich.
Just to go and see Tenet or a Marvel film. Find a comedy you think is really up your street and laugh with other people in the cinema. It's way more fun than laughing at home.
Also, I love going to the cinema to take a chance on a film that only I see. Going to the cinema
Yes.
on your own is what a joy.
Fantastic.
Oh my God, one of my favorite things.
If you're ever scared of going to the cinema on your own, don't be. It's one of the most like therapeutic, like mentally stimulating and sort of calming things you can do. It's just for you. Very quiet, very peaceful.
I don't have to worry about whether the person with me is having a good time, if they're enjoying it, if they're being disturbed by the people talking behind it, because it's all on me. It's absolutely fine.
You get your snacks that you want. You don't have to share them.
So I think, in a way, I think the best way to watch a film on my own in the cinema early in the morning.
Naomi writes into the show and says, firstly, Naomi put screenshots of her Spotify Wrapped showing that we were her top podcast of the year. So
love that.
Naomi, thank you so much. Engel says, hey guys, I love your podcast and it's the only good thing about Wednesdays. So thank you. I love
that's very kind. Yeah.
Very sweet.
Hump day, am I right, guys?
Yeah. Recently, I catch myself more frequently to watch 2 hours of TikTok instead of watching a movie. Usually, I start a movie and get bored after a while, even if there are really good ones that I already haven't watched. TikTok makes me very impatient, and I wanted to know if you guys experience the same. And do you think that someday TikTok will ruin movies like this? Also, you're my number one most listened to podcast on Spotify review of the year.
So look, the TikTok, which TikTok is like the bogeyman that's always sort of brought out. The thing is with TikTok, it can be incredibly dangerous in terms of your attention span. I'm not saying dangerous.
It is the crack cocaine of social media.
It is, and it's just easy to get lost in it. It's not any deficiency in you as a person. It's like it is literally engineered and designed to hold you captive with your attention for as long as possible. Spending 2 hours on it, I just try and not do that. That sounds very exhausting.
It would be so easy for me to sit here and be like, hey guys, just try to catch yourself when you're doing it and
Which is what
take
I just
a step
tried to
back.
say.
But like, I do this all the time.
I'm totally guilty of it, yeah.
Sometimes I get to the end of a really long day, and weirdly, this sounds terrible, but the process of finding something definitive and official and long form to watch is almost a bit too much of a, am I really going to sit down and commit, versus I could just open my phone and see how long I get engaged for, and before I know it, I've lost my evening.
But do you not feel sometimes when you've had a very long TikTok deep dive,
rotten,
you feel sick?
Like I've done.
You feel almost like nauseous.
I think it's like if you have a really fun weekend with friends and you've exhausted all of your conversation, social battery, dopamine, and it's just been a constant fun, non-stop thing, and you get to the end of that and your battery is drained. Yeah. I feel like TikTok is like doing that in sped up. And I think it's just like a dopamine drain of things. I don't have an answer. I think I wouldn't worry too much about it draining your ability to watch films. I think just no answer.
Just try not to go on it while you're watching a film. And the thing is, I still think the way we engage with short form content and long form content is still different. So there's hope for cinema.
Be careful out there, guys.
Yeah, be careful. For the love of God, we're on TikTok. We need you guys to follow us.
Grow the show on TikTok.
So absolutely, it's fine to use it.
My girlfriend will delete the app entirely when she knows she's got some shit to get done that week. She just goes, I can't be trusted to have it there. If I know I have to re-download the app, it's like a bidding defeat. This next one's from Kane, who says, Kane here, a re-listener from Bristol. Had to jump on and share the news. You're featured in my top podcast listening hours on Spotify Wrapped for the first time. P.S. Can't wait till you're properly number one next year. Best wishes, Kane. That's not an email. That's just him telling me he's the number one. So, Kane, thank you. Sorry I didn't read it before, but I'll read that. This last one is from Callum. Callum says, hi guys, loving the pod. Been a fan ever since those creepily accurate Louis Theroux impressions.
Right.
Expanding on the question of film traditions from the last episode, I just wanted to add in my film tradition, which is that every year on Christmas Eve, how fitting, me and my family always go to the cinema together. We started in 2013 with Frozen brackets, which was not what we thought it was. We were expecting an Ice Age kind of thing. And we kept it going every year since. With this year, we're planning on seeing the new Avatar film. George, thoughts? Do you have any Christmas movie traditions?
Is that not his question?
No, he's got further on. Just to
first of all, I love that.
Lovely.
And that's when cinema can mean the most, when you're bringing people together.
And everyone comes with their family.
It's almost like an event.
You've not got work. Thing. I hope you're not burdened with responsibilities. Things are kind of wound down a little bit. Everyone's a bit more relaxed.
I haven't gone to the cinema on Christmas Eve. I think I don't know why, but I have definitely gone around that time, and it's special. Like, even if it's to see a film you don't really care about, it's just something like that. Me, my brother, and my mum went to see Mary Poppins Returns. You know what? It was all right. It was all right. Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
He then links an article and says, also, I wanted to see your guys' opinions on this article from The Guardian. The article basically talks about the slump of the box office this autumn period and some of the reasons for it. One interesting point it talks about is that a lot of films being shown in cinemas aren't always the most commercial, and that some films being sent to streaming would be a lot more commercial in cinemas. Some of the examples it gives includes films like Bros, Glass Onion, Disney Stranger Worlds, etc. Would you guys agree with this point? Are some films being pushed to streaming and they should have theatrical releases? And on the reverse, should some films be given theatrical releases, just be pushed to streaming? Cheers, guys. Callum.
Very interesting question, considering that email we just had prior to that about
Yes.
the best way to watch a film. I mean, obviously, Glass Onion is different because it's getting 2 bites of the cherry. It's getting a cinematic release, and then it's coming out on streaming as well. The thing is, sometimes when you see a good film, I never want to deny someone the opportunity to see something at the cinema because that is a very unique space. As we've talked about before, after that very brief or even long run in the cinema, even if something's in the cinema for 6 months, which is like crazy long, after that it exists on the small screen
forever,
in perpetuity.
No matter how much you can say the cinema is the definitive way, chances are a very small fraction of your audience will actually experience it.
Just want to remind people that there was an era of cinema attendance, of being a film lover, where to watch a film you love, you'd have to get the cinema listings of all the local cinemas. And if you lived in, let's say, like London or New York, you'd find the cinema, the picture houses that worked for you, and you were looking for the thing, and they might go, oh, we've got a print-in of John Carpenter's The Thing, a bad example, this Fellini film from the 50s, which no one can show. And you think, oh my God, I have to see that because that hasn't been shown in a cinema since, even if it was like 6 months ago.
There were only 4 channels on TV.
Exactly. Your opportunity to rewatch films was completely limited by how and when picture houses could show them. What was I saying? I was saying...
well, like there are... Sorry. I feel like there are far too many factors that that contribute to whether or not a film does well or badly in the box office. And I think my main point for this autumn-winter period is that there's been so much competition. We've said it a million times. There's so much to see right now. I'm trying to see films every week, and I'm almost like not seeing everything, and I'm really into my film. So if someone who's not really in is going to pick and choose a lot more, and you're competing with everything that's on every single streaming service, I think we're definitely in an interesting position where streaming services are experimenting, like you said with Glass Onion, with we've got this property, do we take it straight to our streamer and get subs? Do we want to enjoy the money that we get from ticket sales in the box office? Do you want to put it out for a bit, take it out, bring it back on? I think COVID sort of completely acted as a catalyst and delayer of what people wanted to do in that space, and I still think everyone's really trying to figure out what the box office looks like after COVID. Cinema ticket prices have definitely gone down, but have the audiences returned? There are too many things to kind of factor in. I
was also just thinking of a film like After Sun, which we reviewed last week. Is that that's a tiny little British film that not a lot of people will have gone to see, but it's important if you want to grow talent, because unfortunately there's this sort of, I think, perception in the industry that Charlotte Wells, who made that film, obviously will want to continue her career. And on paper, it's like, your film showed in cinemas, and then obviously it's going to live in a streaming service afterwards. But if your film just comes out on streaming service, it's almost like slightly less prestigious. Yeah, it's got a slightly less prestigious thing. And also, if you just release something on streaming, it has a much greater risk of just being dumped and buried on the carousel and not being championed in its correct way. I mean, it's like we talked about before about what Martin Scorsese was saying, that the cinema is a curated space that celebrates film. So
I think on your point about there used to be a sense of urgency, like if your cinema was showing something, like that was it. And I almost feel like one of the great things about technology is that we don't have to literally digitize film prints and get them distributed around the country. Like, this is a file. It's a .mp4 that I don't think it is, but like literally it's a digital file that if they wanted to could be immediately shared. And I think if someone goes, oh, I missed that in cinema, but now in 3 months, it'll be on Sky, it'll be on Netflix, and you can just say, I'll catch it at Christmas.
Because do you know what? I've got plenty of stuff to make myself busy with in the meantime.
I want to watch Succession. I want to watch The White Lotus.
I know.
So it's too many factors, too many things. But there you go. Those were all of the questions we got this week. Thank you, as always, for writing in. You can do, if you want to write a question, write into hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com, and we will do our best to read it out on the show. Okay, George, as always, we end Pulp Kitchen with a game to varying levels of success, especially if I'm the one playing it. But I'm resurrecting a game from a while back now that I think our old Pulp Kitchen listeners will be happy to see return. Cast list countdown.
Okay.
I'm going to read you the cast of a film in sort of from order of least importance to most importance, and you have to tell me what film I am talking about before I get to the end of that list. I'll leave a sort of 3 to 5 second gap in between each member, and you do better the sooner you get it, or with the fewer number of cast members you can know about.
Sure.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Oh, I also want to say a special thanks to Gav Murphy, because we nicked his format from Keyword Countdown. You can follow at RKG if you want to check out his stuff. But this is cast list.
Okay.
Countdown. Are you ready for the first film?
I am ready.
George, you have to guess the film from its cast. Ready? In 3, 2, 1. Sky Ferreira.
Okay.
Flea. Isaac Gonzalez.
Get him to the Greek. Flea. Baby Driver.
Yes, very good. The next one you could have got was John Bernthal.
Yes.
Jamie
Mr. Cameo.
Jamie Foxx. John Hamm. Lily James. Kevin Spacey. Ansel Elgort. That was Baby Driver.
Okay.
Found a Baby Driver?
I liked it the first time I saw it in the cinema. The second time I watched it, I liked the first half, and then by the second half, I was like, "Oh, this is a bit silly."
Seen it once, liked it, didn't love it.
Yeah.
This next one, sure, I've only got 6 names for you, so I hope you get it. Ready? You have to guess the film based on its cast. In 3, 2, 1. Danny Huston.
Danny Houston.
Connie Nielsen.
Okay.
Lucy Davis.
Oh, I know this. It's Wonder Woman.
Yes, it is. Next one you could have got was Robin Wright.
Yeah.
Chris Pine. Gal Gadot.
Right. Very good. Very good. You could have also included David Thewlis in there.
Oh, yeah, I didn't put David Thewlis. I swear I wrote it out. David Thewlis. Ready for this next film?
Yeah, I'm going.
George is doing very well.
Test me, please.
How are you doing? Are you beating George? I doubt you're beating George. Ready? Next film. You have to guess the film.
Yes.
You have to guess the film based on its cast. Ready? In 3, 2, 1. Daniel Mays.
Okay.
Mark Strong.
Oh. Okay.
Andrew Scott. Colin Firth. Richard Madden.
1917.
Yes. Next up is Benedict Cumberbatch, Dean Charles Chapman, George McKay. Great cast.
I don't remember Daniel Mays being in it.
Yeah, he is. I'm not going to get it up, but he's in the thing.
Yeah.
He's in
I
there.
like Daniel Mays a lot.
Yeah, he's good. Next one.
Okay. I'm James. I'm not sweating at all.
Not sweating at all. Ready, George? You have to guess the film based on its cast. In 3, 2, 1. Toby Kebbell.
Mm-hmm.
Edgar Ramirez.
Okay.
John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo.
Natalie Dormer.
Oh.
Penelope Cruz.
Penelope Cruz.
Brad Pitt. Cameron Diaz.
Is this The Counselor?
Yes, it
Oh my
is.
God, I've never seen that. But
What a cast! Next
Toby
up is
Kebbell.
Javier Bardem and Michael Fassbender. Toby Kebbell, Edgar Ramirez, John Leguizamo, Natalie Dormer, Penelope Cruz, Brad Pitt,
Yeah.
Cameron Diaz, Javier Bardem,
know.
Michael Fassbender.
I've heard that film is absolutely terrible.
I've not seen it, but it turns out a good cast. If there's one thing this game tells you is that a good cast won't necessarily help
I think
you.
that is the worst film my mum has ever seen.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Is
she
that
went to the cinema to see it.
That's one for the poster.
The worst film my mum has ever seen.
PULP Kitchen. Ready for your next one?
Let's do it.
You have to guess the film based on its cast.
By the way, that
Ready?
was a Ridley Scott film from 2013, just in case people didn't know.
Yes, sorry. Thank you.
Anyway, one of Cameron Diaz's last films before she retired.
God, that is a shame.
Yeah.
I hope she comes back. She's great.
Maybe, yeah.
This next one, I was going to say what it is. Ready?
Yes.
You have to guess the film based on its cast. In 3, 2, 1. Brian Blessed.
Brian Blessed. Okay.
Keira Knightley.
Right.
Peter Serafinowicz.
Okay.
Samuel L. Jackson.
In the same film as Brian Blessed?
Jake Lloyd.
Jake Lloyd is in...
Liam Neeson.
Wait. Jake Lloyd is in like Phantom Menace?
Yes.
What? Liam...
Anthony Daniels, Ewan McGregor. So Keira Knightley plays Padme's doubles. I think it's Sabe,
Right.
which is a great way to throw you off. Peter Serafinowicz is the
Voice of Darth
Maul. Samuel Jackson, Mace Windu. Jake Lloyd plays Anakin.
Why didn't I say Phantom Menace then when you said it? Because I thought... I should have. Why did I?
And then I had to put Anthony Daniels further down because he's a massive giveaway.
When you
for
said
Star
Jake
Wars.
Lloyd, I knew that was Phantom Menace, but I just didn't think. I thought you were describing a different film. I was like, Jake Lloyd made another film
with Keira Knightley? No.
Walked right into that one.
No, but you got it. You got it before the end. Ready? You have to guess the film based. You got 3 more. You have to guess the film based on its cast. In 3, 2, 1. Rick Tune.
I beg your pardon. Rick Tune.
John Cleese.
Okay.
Samantha Bond.
Right.
Toby Stevens.
This is, James, I know this one. This is
Judi
2003's Die Another Day.
Yes. Next up was Rosamund
You
Pike.
love bringing up Die Another Day.
Halle Berry. I brought it up like once before.
You did it with the director one,
And
yeah.
Pierce Brosnan. Yeah, I did. Because it's got,
You love
John
it.
Cleese.
You
You're
love
like,
it.
what?
Playing Q,
I do.
yeah.
I do have a soft spot for Die Another Day. Good rounds this week.
I mean, yeah.
You're getting your games this week.
You got 7
'Cause it's
rounds or so
Christmas.
there. Merry Christmas. I'm fine. Yeah, cool. Okay, well.
Ready?
Yeah. Oh my God, there's more. Okay.
Oh, yeah, there's 2 more. There's 2 more.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Ready? You have to guess the film based on its cast.
Did my sleep.
Michael Clark Duncan.
So it's not the Green Mile.
Benicio del Toro.
James, it's Sin City.
Yeah, straight
Come on,
in.
James.
Next, you could have had Nick Stahl, Rosario Dawson, Alexis Bledel, Clive Owen, Jessica Alba, Bruce Willis, Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
Last one.
Yeah, come on.
To guess
Not even sweating.
the film based on its cast. Tobey Maguire,
Right.
Bill Hader,
Oh, okay.
Danny McBride, Jay Baruchel,
Jay Baruchel. Oh, is this
Matthew McConaughey,
It's not This Is the End. No, Matthew McConaughey.
Jack
Tobey
Black.
Maguire. What's this?
Tom Cruise.
Is this Tropic Thunder?
Yeah.
Hang on, Tobey Maguire's in it?
In the opening trailer with Robert Downey Jr. You know when they do the fake trailers?
Do you know what? I've only seen that once, and I really think if I watch that
Next
now,
up was Robert Downey Jr. and then Ben Stiller.
I think if I watch that film now, I'd enjoy it much more than when I was younger, actually, because I think there's
think
much
so
more of a
too.
satirical commentary about Hollywood and being an actor and what you're entitled. The whole Matthew McConaughey storyline about getting you what you're entitled to as an agent. Yeah,
it was very interesting. So Robert Downey Jr. went on Joe Rogan and spoke about that film, and Joe Rogan was like, "Can we just talk about Tropic Thunder for a bit?" And like, obviously, like Robert Downey Jr.'s role in it, and it's so funny hearing Robert Downey Jr. talk about it. And he's like, I just shot Iron Man, and I didn't know if this was going to be the end of my career, but that film came out and everyone was upset about Simple Jack. And I was like, fucking amazing, fantastic. And he got off scot-free. But that film, oh my God, takes some real comedic leaps.
Right.
I think it's still funny. I've not seen it in a really long
Did you
time.
put Steve Coogan on the list?
No, I didn't. Steve Coogan.
Coogan's
There was
in it.
quite a lot of actors on there. I could have gone on for a while. But
wow, yeah, I need to see that. I remember that some of that came out and everyone was talking about it.
Tom Cruise being in there as a secret cameo.
Yeah, and I remember that because then later when Boyhood came out, there's a bit where in the actual 2008, he's like, the best films that came out this year were Dark Knight, Pineapple Express, and Tropic Thunder, and she doesn't get into any of that. And I'm like, oh my God.
I loved how it did the fake trailers in the beginning.
Yeah,
there was such a wonderful
Do you know what
into that.
film I loved did a fake trailer at the beginning of is Austin Powers Goldmember.
Yeah,
the whole
that's
action
funny.
sequence at the beginning where it's
Yeah,
Tom
that's good.
Cruise, Gwyneth Paltrow,
Yeah,
and then
that's
it's
good.
Steven Spielberg at the end. What did you think, Austin? I thought it was great. Where do you stand on Austin Powers?
Not seen it in a really long time.
I'm not sure it's dated very well.
I remember watching The Spy Who Shagged Me as a really young and thinking,
same.
oh my God, I've had like a comedic awakening.
Yeah.
This is like truly
Or he
next
drinks
level.
the shit instead of the coffee. Oh my God.
I was like a sleeper and I was like, oh my God, what is this? I think I would have seen Goldmember like within a year of that. I cannot imagine what it's like to watch now.
No,
but who am I to be snobby
But that's
about
the
it?
thing,
Moment in time.
They were quite popular in my household growing up,
Yeah.
and not the first one. Never the first Austin Powers. It was
I
never
don't
that
remember
funny.
that well.
But Spy Who Shagged Me and Goldmember, and there are again. That's actually a film that still gets referenced to. There's a gag in Goldmember that always makes me laugh, which is that Mike Myers and Mini-Me sneak onto the submarine, and they're like, we need to get a disguise, and they open up the locker room where the villains, henchmen are, and they see they've only got one uniform left. And he goes, right, well, one of us will have to go on the other's shoulders. And he goes on Mini-Me's shoulders. And you've got these tiny little legs. And Mike Myers is like, oh, excuse me. And he's like knocking it, like trying to balance.
My favourite is anytime someone's taking more than like 3 movements to parallel park. I'm like, oh, Austin Powers parking scene like that.
And that's from the first one as well.
Yeah, that's from the first one.
Also, my favourite line in the third one is that, how about no, you crazy Dutch bastard? There you go. Pop culture just lives on, doesn't it?
Just continuing forever. As always, guys, thank you very much for listening to an episode of Pop Kitchen. Don't forget that we post new episodes of this show every single Wednesday.
And as you know, guys, plenty of us to digest in short form on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts now as well. If you subscribe to YouTube and follow this channel, you can get a microdose of us as YouTube Shorts. Please rate us, like us, follow us, recommend us, please. That'd be great.
Yeah,
Reviews,
that'd be awesome.
Be amazing. We've had, I don't know what we've had. I don't know why I started that sentence. I keep
I hope
doing
everyone's
that.
having a nice December. I
Yeah.
hope everyone is not too busy with work. Hope you're enjoying yourselves. Hope you have a good Christmas.
Yeah, relax, guys.
Yeah.
Take the break you need.
Plan some time off. Watch some fun films.
Yeah.
We've got some hopefully really cool stuff coming towards the end of the year as we
Yes.
say goodbye to another year of Pop Kitchen. But it's
Stay
been a good
tuned.
one. See you
Yeah.
next week.
Thank you. Goodbye.